Welcome to the SaaS Revolution Show, a podcast by SaaStock. Here we interview SaaS founders from around the world who've been there and done that, as they share the ins and outs of how they built their businesses, their operations, their path to securing investment, and more. Our mission with the podcast is to help you, the founder, learn how to scale your SaaS, maintain your well-being, and navigate the complexities of this ever-changing industry. I'm your host, Alex Theuma, and together we'll explore the good, the bad, and the ugly in the journey to SaaS success. Welcome back to the SaaS Revolution Show. I am your host, Alex Theuma, and delighted to be joined today by Justas Malinauskas, who is the CEO and founder of Whatagraph. Welcome, Justas. How you doing?
Hey, how are you, Alex? Nice to meet you again.
Yeah, good to see you again. It's been a couple of months. We were last in the Moroccan desert, sipping very hot mint tea, which I think burnt my mouth. But that was probably the only negative thing that happened on that SaaStock founder member retreat. Maybe actually no, it wasn't. I got bitten by a camel on my behind. That was also unpleasant.
Yeah, so
overall a good.
There was a couple of things.
Good
right?
trip.
Interesting. Yeah. It only happened to you, right? So I think the rest got pretty much happy with everything. There was not so much.
Exactly.
I think you took the bullet for everyone, right?
I did. That is me. I'm
That's good. That's good. That's how leaders should be
for everybody. But good to see you again. You're not in Morocco today.
I'm currently not.
Where are you?
Virtually. I'm currently in Vilnius, Lithuania. So this is where one of our offices is based. So we're based in three different offices. We have two in Lithuania, one in Netherlands, Amsterdam. But yeah, most of our team works distributed. So we have a team across, I would say, Europe mostly. We have one person based in Hong Kong, but the rest are like pretty much around Europe in different countries. So I think all that COVID aftermath left with more opportunities to get team members across the borders, I guess, and I think that's nice.
Were you always distributed? I mean, do you have an office in Vilnius, like pre-COVID? Were you in the office, and then that was just during COVID and post you've gone distributed?
So we were kind of naturally distributed since the day one because we had a couple of offices within Lithuania when we started. And then it happened that we've got to Netherlands, and then we also became basically Dutch company. So from the beginning, and now of course there's a lot of people who work within the company. So that's not only like Lithuanians working. So that it started as a Lithuanian company because we co-founders were Lithuanians, but eventually I think it equaled out, and I think now there's a lot of people who are not like Lithuanians or so. So that's why I think since the day one, we were pretty much distributed because we couldn't hold off within one office. Even within Lithuania, we had two offices since the day one, and then Netherlands happened, and then everything else. And yeah, when I say Netherlands happened, so we've got to Rockstar Accelerator program in 2015, 16, or turning point. So that's when we moved to Netherlands also, and that's how we became actually a Dutch company, co-founded by Lithuanians. So
how was that going through an accelerator program? Like, do you overall view this as was it a positive thing? Is this something for everybody, or
No.
is it quite specific?
I think in our case, it was a very positive thing. And I think it's not only about the acceleration program itself. I think at the time when we started Whatagraph, it was 2015 or so. And I don't have exact date because it just naturally evolved from me owning marketing agency, and then we just created the product. But in that time, I think there was not so much of information available. It's crazy to say that, but I mean, it's nearly 10 years now, and wasn't that much accessibility around everything. Now we have tons of podcasts, tons of online communities and etc. Back in the time, when we started, we actually didn't know that we're launching a SaaS business. So that's how the lack of knowledge was there. But of course, we were more of I would say, I don't know which generation, but let's say older generation of startup founders who started the business not because of like, oh, I'm going to run a SaaS business, I'm going to run e-commerce or etc. And then you create a product or a business. We started with the thought of, we clearly knew the problem, in our case, the data accessibility and understanding was very hard for marketing teams specifically. And we started creating the product and solving that problem. And then we got to know that this is SaaS actually. And I got to learn it from other SaaS founder back in the time. So answering your question, I think at the time, entering acceleration program was a huge benefit for us. I can't say is it good or bad today. I think it always very much depends on where the people who run the business are at. And it very much depends, of course, on which acceleration program it is, and some brings one advantage, some another. But I think if you're starting the first business, I think it's still valuable, in my opinion. I think you still can meet like-minded people quicker. You get a bit more proven early strategies, how to test your market and everything else. And then, of course, meet mentors, get the first investment. So I still see that working. We have a couple of people who were part of Whatagraph before as a team members, and now they started their own businesses, and they joined those acceleration programs now. And I think it just provided a good outcome. So in my point of view, I think it's still valuable.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Justas Malinauskas?
Yeah, so a very good question. So I think it's very hard to describe, of course, yourself. So I'm going to look more from what I did throughout my life. And I think business was always next to me and in me, I guess. That happened naturally. One of my first business was when I started my first business kind of illegally because I was, I think, 14, 15 years old, still back in the school, and I couldn't actually officially open a company, so I needed a friend who was, at the legal age to open a business. So we started the business together. It was a website development company before the financial crisis. That was 2007-ish, I would say. It was very good business. I think everyone was doing that, or I think that way. But I was always near the tech. I always loved the tech, meaning not just software, but just actual tech, starting with the computers, phones, cameras, and etc. when I was a child. So I think those two things connected very well together. I think that's kind of still of a generational advantage that, I was born in that phase of, the tech and software being built and created. And somehow I got into it. That's why I didn't became a policeman or something. But I still think those are great professions. But for me, the passion was there. So that's how I continued that. And I went from one business to another. I haven't actually worked that much as an employee anywhere. I just had one proper job, meaning which had business goals and etc. And then before that, it was more like a summer jobs or some gigs. But yeah, I was always, in my mind, I was always thinking that I want to launch a business as an aspiration. But later, I worked with, I had established the first co-working space in the city where I lived at the time because I just enjoyed the thing. So I think my whole business started because of sometimes even myself thinking, it would be nice to have that. So the co-working space first is the first business of mine, like a proper one. Which was nice, where I met a lot of people, and some of them are still working in Whatagraph. Then I launched marketing agency, where I thought I can bring the value because I just enjoyed looking at a lot of marketing campaigns and then websites built, and we were able to build a strategy for businesses from, again, experience rather than finishing a uni and knowing how the strategy should be done. So I was always thinking a bit backwards, right, from the end result, which is great, and then coming back, and then this is how building the strategy. I think this is how we build also Whatagraph. So we started with the problem and then started to working back and I think this is where we are at the moment. And I think, getting a bit of a more knowledge would be nice. That's where also SaaStock comes in, I guess, these days. But back in time, there was no things like that.
Tell us, obviously it's a neat segue into then the founding story of Whatagraph. So you mentioned that you run some multiple businesses, so you were doing the web development. But then, so why start Whatagraph at the time that you did?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
So I think the first point came into when I was running marketing agency. So the problem was, the customers we started to sell advertising services, obviously. Besides all the branding and web development and all the strategic things, we need to execute that. And the customers obviously wanted to get some kind of information where we spent the money, how that operated, and etc. And the hardest bit for myself, even when we started that, was understanding, because at the time it was only Google Analytics. There was even no Facebook advertising. You were only able to boost posts, and there was no Instagram at all. So there was like couple data sources from where you can actually. So we were starting as visualization software or reporting software for your Google Analytics, and it was very hard to get into it. And we combined. I just thought I very much enjoyed infographics at the time. A lot of people remember those long tail, blog posts over internet where it was very easily explained something about the data. And I thought why not to combine those things together? And this is what we've done in the early phases of Whatagraph. So we combine infographics and analytics by not actually bringing the person to analytics. And we said, this is a report way better understandable, first of all. So we always focus on the person who's looking at it rather than who's building it. And that still stays the same at today's perspective. And it actually worked a lot, because a lot of people apparently didn't know how to properly use analytics and how to get the most out of it. So we built what people should look at. We consulted with a lot of analytics professionals at the time, and we learned analytics ourselves, by doing the product, and apparently we eventually turned out into still analytics experts ourselves at today's time. But yeah, it was very problem oriented towards myself first, and I found that there's more people having the same problem, and then it turned out into product. So first, Whatagraph reports were built manually within the agency as a report to our customers. And when I saw that our customers started to recommend us to their friends and other peers, because we were very much transparent to them, then I understood, okay, that might be a product and that might become a business. So
you've been running it for 10 years. Yeah.
So it wasn't full time, all 10 years, from 2015 until 2016 or so, when we joined the acceleration program. We were just building something. We kind of without any kind of roadmap. It was very much not clear what to do. Right, we were just building the product, and that's it. Not building any sales teams and etc. What's happening right now? So now you say, oh, there's 2 years to get into 1 million ARR and etc. Then we were not even caring about it. We were caring about the best product. I think that was a huge advantage, because we were kind of innovating. Google Data Studio, now it's called Looker Studio, was not even there. So when we started, there was nothing about it. And we were very much fresh in the space. And adding that together with lack of knowledge about how to build a business at startups, especially in Lithuania at the time, was very, I would say, challenging if you would start thinking about, oh, let's build next Facebook or something. So we're enjoying the time. We joined the acceleration program. I met a few guys who were mentors at the time. Now they're my friends. Now they sold their own companies, and then now they're building new companies. So now I can help them, and it's very interesting, right? But I slowly got into that SaaS rhythm. And I think the the majority of the growth for Whatagraph started at 2019 when we got the first investment. So before that, we were, now is the term bootstrap, right? But we were just funding it ourselves. We were just slowly building the business, seeing what works, what not. And when we got the first VC money in, then the growth started. So since that time, we started growing, in times every year.
When did you say VC money? Or what did you raise? Like, why did you decide to do VC and not bootstrap?
Yeah, at the time, I think it was very also interesting. One of our first VCs got approached me like over LinkedIn. You're still with us, and they also went through until now Series A, so they're still with us. They're, I think, the largest investor so far within Whatagraph. And we've got also into very good friendship level with them. I just, the guy wrote me, the partner, Audrius from Open Circle in Lithuania. So he wrote me like, hey guys, I think we should meet up. I saw you on some magazine, and let's meet up and talk about things. And we were like, yeah, look, we can fund it ourselves. We're still okay with that. But then he was able to convince me and explain, what's the benefit of VC money, and then if we pour a bit more money into acquisition, we can grow quicker. So I think that this was the turning point when we decided, okay, so maybe it's better to get someone in with some knowledge, how to scale the business, and they can also connect us with others, and some external capital can speed up the development and etc. So I think that was the point at the time. Now I get it. There's a lot of trend about bootstrapping and VC, and my point of view is if you can bootstrap and still maintain high growth and your business is feasible for that, that's great. Do that. And I think if you can deploy more money and grow the business in a year instead of 3 years, so you should do that. So that's why these funds are there, just to speed up the growth. And if the money doesn't speed up your growth, then for sure, why to get it?
What data can you share about the company then, like today? So obviously we've learned that you've raised some VC money. Yeah. What can you share about the business?
Yeah, so we are post Series A stage as a funding terms, but we haven't fundraised much compared to like world trends, I guess, so far. So I think so far we have raised not more, around like 10 million or so in total, and our Series A was the largest round, was of 7 million plus in dollars. So the most money came in recently, right, in 2021, mid 2021, I guess, and we are above 5 million ARR currently. So and in terms of the people count, we're around 60 people. And still profitable and not burning money that much.
So let's jump into then 3 of the sort of key growth lessons that have helped you get to above 5 million ARR. What would be the first one that you would call out?
I don't have, I think, the magic pill, and I think nobody can share that. Who would say you just get ads there and etc. I think the first thing was, since the day one, we didn't know a lot about those growth strategies. So that required a lot of testing. And I think that turned out into a good strategy eventually. So we were first testing a lot of different channels in different ways with fraction of money, and then slowly growing those channels instead of just deploying everything on Facebook or, I don't know, Google or going somewhere else. I think there's also different strategies. Some people go just all in on one strategy. We were always trying everything. And that's obvious what I'm saying. But the main part goes to the second part, what I want to say. We are not afraid to retest the channels again after some time. Because some people, they say, oh, we did Facebook, it didn't work, we're not going it again. But after some time, we still go back and we test it out again with the new knowledge, with the new market situation, etc. And I think that's very much crucial. So do not use the phrase a lot of, we We tried it, it didn't work. So we just always cross it out of the strategy, because in this way, you will always run out of strategies because there's not so many things. I think there's a combination of things, and I think everything works. You just don't know how to make it work for you. And yeah, I saw some things like, I don't know, affiliate marketing. We tried it. It didn't work for us at the beginning. And then we saw our competitors are actually succeeding with that. And that means it doesn't work for us and it works for someone else. So I think you just don't know how to run it properly, or you don't know how to package it right, or maybe the timing is wrong. So experimentation and revisiting things is the number one thing, what's very much important for the growth.
What about the second, I'd say, most important sort of growth leap?
I think the second one, I would even, if I would need to prioritize things, I think the second one should be first one, right? What I should have started with. I think still, obviously, I think the product is very much important. So I'm not even mentioning that. I think it's just obvious, right? You need to make great product. But the second one, which should be the first one, is actually a very passionate customer-centric help and support. So, and not just meaning like a chat on your website, which is like responsive, but it's the whole company's thought about it. So we were always customer-centric from the day one. We were always helping a lot. We were always solving those problems for the customers. And I think that always is mentioned still yet for our company. So every customer, even if they churn, they still mention, by the way, maybe there's some part of the product wasn't very good at the time, but your support is a top notch, who always was there and helped us to still succeed. And even if they churn, they still come back afterwards, because, none of the products in the market are amazing on every angle. So it's all about, how you combine some strengths and weaknesses of the product to make the customer successful. So I think this is what we try to do all the time. We try to sometimes compensate the product weaknesses for some customers with some, real human help. So that's why we were not very first in line to start automating and AIing all the supports and everything else. We still have a large team who supports the customers. We have a huge customer success team. So support and customer success are part of the same team, but they still are different teams. One is oriented on like very quick help, and another is focused on how to make the customer successful, not a nice titled growth team, right? Who's just selling additional features. We were not very much selling the customers for a long time, even in our business. We were always selling the best value at the starting point. And I think now a few years back, we started to think about okay, how to add new products, but not just how to let's increase their ticket size. So we always think about the value, how to create value for the customer. And then if they get the value is how you maximize as a business also. So a very much shared, responsibility on that end. So that's two. And you asked for three. So I don't know. I think number three is actually, I would mention that being in the community and understanding a bit how others do that. Still, you can read a lot online. Some are very much advertised things, and some things are just made up by some people who haven't even experienced that. It's very hard to validate the source of truth. But when you meet the guys in some, and I can definitely advertise, SaaStock and SaaStock founders members on that angle. I think that helped a lot, because you can actually check with a very fresh information from others at the same stage as you are, and that actually grows your knowledge through actually shared knowledge base by other people working in maybe way different segments, different products. So I think that would be the third one.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm prompted. You've been a SaaS founder member for almost a year now, I think,
yeah,
right? Yeah. So in terms of perhaps, you mentioned some of the benefits there, but what would you say is the anything like actionable and practical that you've taken away that you maybe applied to your business that you've learned?
Yeah, I think it's actually a lot, and very much depends, because SaaStock as a main thing has very different streams of value what you provide. So there's like SaaStock founders, and that will sound like as an advert like right now, but I'm not encouraged for that, right? So, but for me, it's actually a big win in actually last year personally. So from events, it's obviously what you get. You just hear people on stage and some new things, what maybe sponsored, maybe a bit not, and etc. But just some new ideas, right? But then second, the thing is like you meet the people as SaaS founders member in various retreats, event itself, and etc. And then you just have a good time together, share a bit of ideas, share some joys and pains, and etc. And then there's community knowledge, and then there's the last, I think, the most important bit. There's those peer groups, which brings very specific help for you on specific topics. So when we have, and I think our peer group is amazing, we do very hard work there, right? So we come in, we have a structure there, and kudos to David if he's listening now. We have a very strong structure there, and we always have time, each of us, to share and comment on each other's problems or success. And I don't know, maybe you have an issue with how to build a product strategy, or how to build the strategy for the next year. So you can actually get the help to chip in from other founders at the same or a bit higher or lower levels, right? But still around the same thing. And you just get way more opinions from, and they are not incentivized, right? So they're not part of your company. They're not part of your cap table or something. And they can provide you an honest, sometimes review or opinion on your strategy, and help you to identify roadblocks and remove those roadblocks. So I can't just say like one thing on where I got the help, but every session, every month is very much valuable. And every time I can ask the question and I get very much honest opinion.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. So we're recapping, there was testing, but number one would probably be the product and obsessive customer focus there, and third being a part of a community is going to really help to grow the business to be what it is today. We'll move into the quickest fire round. So I'd love to know what one thing has moved the needle the most for you in your career.
Oh yeah, I think consistency / discipline. I think that's the thing. Compounding interest.
Yeah. What about the best advice you've ever received?
So this one, I need to be honest on that. The best advice which I've got at the time, that was 2016 from a mentor in back in Rockstar. He's my friend now, so shout out to Walter. He told me one advice out of 10 mentors at the time. He said, I can't advise you on anything. So that's a very good thing, right? To hear from a mentor. But he said, I just only going to say one thing. Just go to SaaStock.com and read everything. So this is what I've done at the time. So I don't know I think SaaStock was not even there at the time, right?
Yeah.
Give or take. So that was a true source of truth at the time. So that's what I've done. So I just went in and just read everything there. That was my, I think, kickstart to SaaS world. And then, of course, everything got where it is right now. So I think the best advice was that, it wasn't about strategy and something. It's just go read and apply. This is what I've done.
What about biggest failure you've made and lesson learned?
I think biggest lesson learned. It's not failure. I think post Series A we did learn a couple of lessons as a business and myself. I think you need to understand very well what you bring into the company, meaning team-wise, and you need to understand the levels which you're trying to combine together. So we did a bit of hiring on 2 later stage experienced people on board, which led to a biggest disalignment with the capacity and capabilities of the current team and current company stage to what those people want to achieve, and their speed levels and your company speed levels. So the capacity is usually lower because there's less people who can do that, and they are more strategic guys. And but their pace is way lower, and you need to increase the pace. So it's a very big clash, which I don't know. In my experience, it's always failed. This is what we learned, and I think not going too much one step up or one step down is what you should be aiming for. Within. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Final thing, what about the hardest thing about building a SaaS company today?
But I think the hardest thing, not even building a SaaS company, I think every business, including SaaS, I think you need to be ready for like a very long marathon. You're running a marathon here. There's tons of ups and downs, and you need to be able to still see a top view of the curve, right? Is going up or down, because every day it can be different. Some day you're happy, some day you're not, and it's not like, oh, this is the slow phase and this is high phase, but it's more like maybe this day you have plenty of wins, another day you have plenty of losses. So not to give up on that. So I think it's very hard, very much rewarding. So it depends which you take, So be very much again consistent and disciplined on where you go, what's your strategy, and see the big picture as especially a business owner in SaaS, to understand that it will take time. There are successes within 1-2 years, but the most people which I meet, they take 10, 15 years, right? This is the time frame which you need. And I'm not saying about 100 million, 50 billion, etc. companies, but just like regular business. I mean, not to forget that the business should be business, right? It should make money, grow, or etc. Not just like run on VC money, right? So it should be a business eventually. So you need to keep thinking about it.
Well, thanks for sharing that. So as we come to the end of the show, people want to reach out to your SaaS or find more about Whatagraph. Where can they find you online? Where can they find out more about Whatagraph?
Yeah, so Whatagraph is whatagraph.com. Easy as that. And but you can also find me on LinkedIn. And on X, I'm not very active there, but I'm there, so you can reach out there. Facebook sometimes, but not also super active there. So I think LinkedIn is still one of the best things. You just go with my name and surname, or /Justas Malinauskas or something.
In person, we'll get to see you at SaaStock.
I think that's the best
in October.
That's the best. So I'm in most of SaaStock events, so you can reach out to me there.
I'll see you again in October at SaaStock Europe. So very much looking forward to that. Before we know it, we'll be there. Thank you so much, Justas, for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. I know we've been talking about it for some time.
Thank you for hosting.
In between that, maybe it was the really hot tea or the camel biting me that really kind of made you decide that you were going to come in. So me taking the bullet got you on the podcast, right?
No, exactly. So I was always looking forward to join that podcast. There's plenty of great guys talking here, so now I'm able to be one of them, right? So thanks for hosting.
I appreciate you sharing with the SaaStock community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Justas Malinauskas, CEO of Whatagraph. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.